Hi there! You're about to listen to a vintage episode of the Under the Microscope podcast. While the content is still as relevant and as interesting as when it was recorded, our webpage has changed. You can now find us at thesciencetalk.com/real-scientist-nano. Welcome to Under the Microscope. This series is brought to you by the Real Scientists Nano team. Our goal is to provide a platform where scientists can communicate their work and interact with the public. With that in mind, every week we introduce you to a scientist working in the field of materials and nanoscience, who would be curating the RealSci_Nano Twitter account. Hi everyone. Today we have with us Yu Kyoung Ryu, who is a postdoctoral researcher at the Institute of Optoelectronics and Microtechnology Systems at the Polytechnic University of Madrid in Spain. Hi Ryu, how are you?
Fine, thank you for giving the opportunity to participate. I'm really excited.
Yeah, we are excited to read your tweets. It's going to be so much fun. So let's start by understanding your career path so far. So, how did you end up as a postdoc at the Polytechnic University in Madrid? Tell us about your scientific journey.
It's a long path indeed. First of all, I study physics in Universidad Complutense de Madrid. Then during the last year of my physics degree, and also during the year of the master in applied physics, also in Complutense, I worked in the lab of Professor Paloma Fernandez group, and there I studied zinc oxide nanostructures. I fabricated them, and I characterized them by cathodoluminescence. Then I fell in love with the microscopes. You can explore the nano world, no, like a scanning electron microscope, no. So the question is that I was on the verge of doing the PhD with her. The problem is that, of course, always is the same problem. Surprise! The funding was not secure. So I had to find another fellowship in somewhere else, and then that's why I searched for this fellowship, and there was an offer in Professor Ricardo Garcia's group at the Instituto de Ciencias Materiales de Madrid, and I felt excited with the title because it involved to study with an atomic form microscope that for me was awesome, no? The opportunity to characterize the nano world, no, with such a tool, no, with atomic precision and so on. And then I did the interview, and I had so he accepted that he would give me the fellowship. But surprise, I thought that I would characterize the materials, their properties, electrical properties, magnetic properties, and so on. The problem is that the offer was that I would use the atomic form microscope to fabricate nanostructures, not to characterize them. But the question is that I really fell more in love even with the training of lithography, because for me it was so cool that you could fabricate such a small things in such a high precision with the AFM chip. So I was fascinated, was fantastic. And also during the PhD, I was involved in a European project consortium that my Ricardo Garcia was involved. It was called Single Nanometer Manufacturing Beyond CMOS. And the consortium consisted in really state-of-the-art facilities in Europe, like IMEC, IBM Zurich, Delft University, the Ilmenau Technical University. So I had the chance to really know where the SPL, the technique I studied during my PhD, fell into with respect to the other high resolution lithography techniques like extreme ultraviolet photolithography, electron beam lithography, focus ion beam. So I learned a lot. I had a lot of networking and exchange of ideas with the members of the consortium. It was awesome. And then I was so in love with I'm still in love with the SPL that, and also because in the project, another of the members of the consortium was IBM Zurich. Then I asked for a postdoc, my first postdoctoral stay, to Dr. Armin Knoll from IBM Zurich, because in his group, the thermal scanning probe lithography was developed, and also in IBM Zurich, where it was where the STM and the AFM were discovered, no? So it was also like the origin of the tool, and was so exciting. And he granted me a postdoctoral stay, so I could continue with scanning probe lithography and learning another modality. Then I come back with Ricardo Garcia to try to do OS oxidation, scanning probe lithography in a long term. And also I had the opportunity to do a 1-year postdoc with one of your guest stars previously. I don't know, surprise, Dr. Andrés Castellanos Gomez.
Okay.
Awesome. I could learn about the straintronics in 2D materials, so was also really awesome, and deterministic transfer, so it was really cool. But again, because of funding constraints and getting a fixed position, I had to move. So this took me to the current position at the ISOM in the Polytechnic University of Madrid. Now I'm in the group of Professor Javier Martinez, developing graphene-based energy storage and harvesting devices that fits into the sustainable development goals. That is, for me, is also really fulfilling to focus on more applied science for application that will have an impact in the society. So.
Okay, wow, that's quite a long journey you've had. And because of the funding, I guess the flip side or the good side of that is that you got to go to different labs and be the traveling scientist and gain experience from different labs. Of course, it comes with downsides, but that's amazing. And right now, the work that you're doing, it feeds into the sustainable development goals outlined by the UN. Which SDG does your project fit into, if I may ask?
Yes, most of all, I think in the number 7, because it's related with the energy. But there are other, I don't know exactly the number, but the one is about the smart cities and also helping the pollution of the environment, because graphene also is important or will be important as sensors to detect the level of pollution. So there are these 3 sustainable development goals. I think graphene will play a big role. So
big role, yeah. That is true. That is true. That is amazing. I mean, that was going to be my next question. So where does your current research fit into? And you already talked about it in the short podcast, and you already mentioned that. So the big materials and nanoscience, it's quite a broad and big field. So where does your research fit into it? Could you just summarize that real quick for us?
Real quick, I think too, that is as many people in the world exploring what the 2D materials really will be a change player in which application, in which niche. This is still yet to be fully confirmed. And the other is I would like to continue developing SPL to prove that SPL also has his niche of application that will be vital, and not any other lithography technique can accomplish as good as SPL. This is also yet to be demonstrated.
Okay, that sounds good. And as you said in the short podcast, I hope after your week on Real Scientist Nano, more people will be excited and enlightened about the SPL, and they would find it as cool as you do. I hope that happens. So, Ru, it sounds to me that you have been involved, not just right now. I mean, your current project also sounds super interesting, but also in the past, you have been involved with a lot of really interesting research projects. And this question is a tough one. I know that before even asking it. So, if you have to pick one project, one research project that you're most proud of, or the most fun or quirky one, um, which one would you pick? And can you pick one and explain it to us in simple words in the section we call In Other Words?
Yes, this was a really tough one to.
Sorry.
I know. Probably all the other invited guests have told you the same. For me, really was fulfilling and important for my career. The achievement of silicon nanowires, an array of silicon nanowires with a periodicity of 7 nanometer, and also 30 nanometers pitch.
30 nanometers.
And also, what was 7 nanometers is that we characterized them by TEM, and they had a 7 nanometer width. And yes, really, sub 10 nanometers width. Yes, and this I achieved it by really optimizing the interaction between the thermal scanning probe lithography writing parameters, the thickness of the polymer, the resist layer on which I did the patterns by TSPL, and the reactive ion etching conditions to transfer the patternings into silicon. And this was really so fine, so I don't know, precise processing to achieve such a beautiful sub 10 nanometer patterns. So when I achieved it, I was really super happy.
Yeah, I can imagine. Is there like a bunch of papers out of this where we can read more? Because that sounds really interesting.
Yes, this sub 10 nanometer silicon nanowires is in the ACS Nano 2017 work.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay, I hope you will share that link when you're tweeting from the account. Of course you will. Alrighty, super. That sounds amazing. So, Ru, it sounds to me that you do like the research part of being a scientist. You really like that. But other than that, there are other aspects of you that come with the job of being a scientist. So, what else do you like about being a scientist?
I really like the networking that is behind, and with all levels, like for example, networking with other senior professors that can be really good mentors to you, so you can really learn the skills to be a solid scientist, and also the networking with just any kind of scientist to do fruitful collaborations and exchange ideas, challenges, knowledge. And also with other postdocs, it's really beautiful, the postdocs that are at the same stage as me, because there are like colleagues with whom you can share your battles, your difficulties, your sufferings, and also grow together. Probably with some of them, you achieve like a long-term and fulfilling professional relationship. This is very beautiful. And of course, even with PhD students and people that are starting, because also with them, when you become a mentor, you also learn a lot of things that even maybe you didn't realize before when you are at that stage. So this is really beautiful.
Okay, basically interacting with different kinds of people and forming really long-term professional relationships in general in order to advance science. That's something that is very, very beautiful. So thank you for sharing that with us. Ru, you have quite a lot of experience now, and you have also seen quite a bit of labs in your career so far. So what advice would you give to researchers who are or students who are starting out now? What advice would you give them to become a successful scientist, in your opinion?
Sure. So since I had so much luck because I had really great mentors, I fell in love with the topics I work in. So my advice is exactly the same. So it's like when you decide to start a PhD, a student, you must take the time, all the time you need first to select, not to choose a topic, a topic you are really interested in, you feel passionate about. You must ask if you prefer to be an experimental or theoretical scientist, if you want to focus more in fundamental or applied problems to solve. You really have to think well this. And once you have this question replied, you must take also the time to find a group that fits into the topic you want to develop, but also you have to do the interviews, you have to take the time to speak with the members of the group, you have to inform yourself before with the members that of the group or people outside that know the group, to know several things like will be the supervisor nurturing, will be help you to grow as a scientist and acquire the skills, will acknowledge you correctly, your achievements, your contributions, and also you try to guess if the philosophy of the group is the same as yours, and also there's a good working environment. So all these things you must think really well, and because we are human, if you discover that you was wrong choosing the things, you have to have the courage to step out and keep on searching for what you really want and is fulfilling for you, because there is never only one path, nor also in academia or in science, but any kind of work. So never give up, but also don't stick in things that for you doesn't go anywhere. So.
Okay, wow, that's quite a lot of very, very good advice. Thank you very much, Ru. It sounds that your research experience has been wonderful so far, and I hope it will continue to be wonderful in the future as well. However, if you had 3 wishes to improve your research experience, what would you ask for? And I'm not promising anything here.
Well, now, first, I am really sorry, but up to now, all the tools and experimental setups I used to fabricate the structures and devices were already built. And then I have a lack of experience in that aspect, and I must amend it. So in the future, in my urgent to-do list is to build myself new tools and experimental setups. The one is I really want to do Python course online because I also need to learn programming. It's a shame on me not to know yet.
No, don't say that. Come on.
Third is that I would really like to write like a killer project proposal that will be awarded.
Okay. So I hope you. These are quite realistic wishes you have.
Yeah.
I should have said that yes, I'm going to grant them all because I'm pretty sure they're going to come true in the near future. All 3 of you, all 3 of the wishes that you mentioned, that building up the lab, writing your research project, Python courses. Yeah, it's quite realistic.
Writing is realistic. Being awarded is other.
Yes, that is true. That is true. You're right. But yeah, I'm sure you will get a killer. Do you have I'm sure you have some ideas for a killer research project. You have a bunch of killer ideas, I'm sure.
Yeah,
You
sure.
do. Okay, super. So, Ruth, thank you very much. This has been wonderful getting to know you as a researcher, as a scientist, the human behind the science, the amazing science that you do. One last question before I let you go. We can't record a podcast in 2021 without addressing the year 2020, which was quite an interesting one. So, what are your learnings from the year 2020?
I think it's the same answer as the others. So it's not taking anything granted in life, professional wise, personal wise, because, for example, I never imagined that there would be a time when I couldn't see my mother living in the same country like several months because of the lockdown and the restrictions. So this was really hard, but also really funny, no? And also, professional wise, I never imagined that I would stop to do experiments. Also, having the instruments and the lab in the same city, and attending to conferences, to nurturing the networking, and this was also super weird, no? And not having granted anything means that you must be always resourceful and adapt to the unknown, no? So this also I practice a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, and since internet times is really well developed, the networking part was not so damaged because it's not the same attending, of course, to a conference on site and having this fantastic conference dinner where you really talk about the work, no, the ideas, and in a more relaxed way. This I miss, but anyway, I had a lot of online conferences and meetings, and was also really fruitful, by the way. So
Mhm.
this is an example of how adaptive we can be nowadays. So
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Okay. So don't take anything for granted. Be adaptable, right?
yes,
Professionally and personally as well.
yes, sure.
Wonderful. So thank you, Ru. Looking forward to having you on Real Scientist Nano. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. To know more about us, please visit our website realscientistsnano.org and follow us on Twitter at realsci_nano.